It was a tough time for any 29 years old and above lady who was not married. In the village of Umude, a long time ago, there lived a young lady named Ada. Ada was everything you could think of in a lady: kind, calm, respectful, and happy. Her laughter was so sweet that it was contagious to all who heard it. She was also easygoing and ready to help anyone in time of need. Ada had all these qualities, but she carried a burden in her heart that made her unhappy. She was 35 years old and not married. In the village of Umodi, getting married was seen as the most important thing for a lady. When a lady has reached the age of 29 years without getting married, people in the community will start treating her like she has a disease, not to talk of being 35 years old and not married. They avoided such lady as if being around her would bring them bad luck. They would mock and say things like, "She's too old to find a husband now," or "Something is wrong with her, that is why no man in the village wants to marry her." It was a tough time for any 29 years old and above lady who was not married in the village of Umuodin. Ada unfortunately stood out in the village because she was not married, and more so because she was now 35 years old. Now, it wasn't Ada's choice not to be married at 35 years old. In fact, she desired marriage like most of the young ladies in the village, but she had gone through a lot of struggles that made her not get married earlier. Ada's days, right from when she clocked 19 years, had been filled with hardship, responsibilities, and sacrifice. She was the eldest of 4 siblings. Her father had passed away when she was 18 years old, leaving her mother to care for Ada and her siblings alone. Mama Ada took up the responsibility of taking care of her children when her husband passed away and was not a lazy woman, but she fell ill a few months after her husband's death. Her illness had taken its toll on her and made her frail and weak. She was bedridden and relying on Ada's care to get her through each day. Ada, as the first child, had to take up the responsibility of taking care of her mother's needs and that of her siblings. Ada had 3 friends: Ifoma, Chinyere, and Nneka. They all would meet up at the village stream in the mornings and gossip about things that were happening in the village, while laughing heartily as they fetched water and poured it into their pots. On some days in the afternoons, Ada's friends would take turn to do their remaining house chores at each other's houses. They would start with Nneka's house first, then move to Chinyere's house, then Ada's house, and finally Ifoma's house. They would do the dishes, wash clothes if there was any, and clean their houses together as a team. In the evenings, they all sat in front of the hut since their houses were not far from each other and shared their dreams and fantasies, confiding in each other also about their hopes and fears. Ada would listen attentively as her friends spoke of their desires to find a wealthy husband and start a family. Nneka, Ifoma, and Chinyere all had their dreams that they held on to, as each of their parents were capable of putting food on the table and taking care of them. They didn't have to worry about the common and basic things of life like food, clothing, or shelter. For Ada though, the case wasn't the same. She couldn't dream of finding a wealthy man or getting married, not with a sick mother and younger siblings. Ada spent her days fetching water from the river, cooking meals over an open fire, and mending her siblings' clothes by the dim lights of an oil lamp at night. As she grew older, the situation didn't change for Ada. Every day, Ada would wake up at the break of dawn to go to the streams with her friends to fetch water. When she and her friends left the stream and got home, she would prepare food for her mother and siblings and then get ready to resume at her workplace, which was at the crops warehouse where farmers packed harvested crops for sale. In the evenings, when Ada finished from work and got back home, she would make dinner, take care of her siblings, and then spend a few hours by her sick mother's side. She would give her her roots and herbs medication, comfort her, and attend to her other needs before going to bed. As a young lady, this was a lot for Ada to bear, but despite the hardship her and her family faced, there was love and laughter in their home. Mama Ada's eyes sparkled with pride whenever she watched Ada selflessly take care of her and her siblings. Her heart always overflowed with gratitude for her eldest daughter's love and dedication towards them. As the days passed, Ada continued to be there for her mother, but with all of her efforts and herbs she administered, her mother's condition remained the same. She grew weaker with each passing day. She couldn't get up to sit up or bath herself. Ada was the one that would help her get up, bath her, and lay her back on the tiny mattress on the floor. Ada most times wished she had someone to help her, but there was no one. She was the eldest daughter with an age gap of 10 years between her and her sibling, so she was the only one old enough to take care of their basic needs. As the years passed, thankfully, Ada's mother started getting better, but most of the responsibilities were still on Ada's shoulders. Their mother couldn't do much other than bath herself, do some minor house chores, and help her in the kitchen. Ada by now had grown into a beautiful 26-year-old lady and ready to be in a relationship. But while her friends, Nneka, Ifeoma, and Chinyere had time to date and have boyfriends, Ada was either at home taking care of her younger ones or at work trying to make ends meet. Ada often yearned for the time to also meet up with some of the young men that were asking her out, but she couldn't because of the responsibilities on her shoulders. The few men she tried to date all abandoned her when they saw the responsibilities on her shoulders. The days went by slowly, and soon it was 1 year later. Chinyere, one of Ada's friends, by now was ready to marry the love of her life, the son of Mazi Obi. Ada and her other friends were by Chinyere's side. They helped her to choose the perfect dress for her traditional wedding and sang songs of celebration as they danced around the village square on her wedding day. Ada stood proudly by Chinyere and was happy that her dear friend was getting married. A year later, Ifeoma's boyfriend proposed to her as well. He was the son of the wealthy cocoa seller. Ada made sure that Ifeoma's wedding day was nothing short of beautiful. She helped her to decorate the venue with colorful flowers and beautiful traditional patterns. She was by Chinyere's side, fanning her and also helping her to hold her dress to make sure she did not slip and fall. Ada was everywhere on that day and really supported her friend. Not too long after, a few months later, Nneka too got married. As usual, Ada stood and supported her as well. She carried Nneka's wedding matter on her head like it was her own sister that was getting married. She washed plates so that guests could see plates for their food and also helped in serving food to ensure everyone at the wedding ate and was okay. After Nneka's wedding, everyone continued with their lives. Ada still saw her friends since they all married men within the village. At first, nothing seemed wrong in the friendship between her and her friends. However, as time passed, Ada began to notice a change in her friends. Nneka, our once closest confidant, became distant. She would always give an excuse for why she couldn't talk to Ada. Chinyere too, who used to love to spend time with Ada, now spent more time with Nneka and Ifeoma. Ifeoma as well, who had always been supportive, started to flaunt her marriage, rubbing her happiness in Ada's face at every opportunity. Ada didn't think much of her friend's attitude because she thought it was due to marriage and the changes that came with it. But little by little, she began to notice that they had started mocking her. One day at the market square, Ada saw her 3 friends chatting happily amongst themselves while buying foodstuffs. They were all excited as they talked. They didn't see Ada at all, but when Ada approached them with a smile, they exchanged quick glances before Nneka said bitterly, "Look who is here. Isn't it Ada, the girl who spends most of her time caring for her mother and siblings? I don't know why she's even trying to talk to us. I can't believe she still thinks she's one of us. Let's just ignore her, I beg. She's not worth our time. She doesn't know that we are better than her now because we are married and she's not," Nneka said before the 3 of them turned away, ignoring Ada like she was not even there. Ada felt bad that day. When she got home, she sat down and began to think. She couldn't believe that her childhood friends could mock her. She decided that, well, she would respect herself and avoid them since they felt they were now better than her. Slowly and gradually, it was 3 years later, and by now, Ada's friends had started bearing children. Ifeoma was the first out of Ada's friends to have a baby. When Ada heard the good news, she got some baby things and went to greet Ifeoma. But Ifeoma treated her badly when she got there. She did not allow her to carry her baby and even told her to leave when her other married friends came to visit her. Ada felt really insulted, and this attitude made her not visit Nneka and Chinyere when they had their own babies year after year, because, after all, birds of the same feather flock together. As the days passed, Ada continued to focus on taking care of her family. Now her siblings were old enough, and they each wanted to learn an handiwork so that they could support Ada. This required money to achieve, so Ada had to continue working so that her siblings could stand on their feet and she would be free to live her life for herself for once. Their mother too needed some money so that she could start a small business and also relieve Ada of some of the responsibilities on her shoulders. In between all this, Ada still tried to date, but unfortunately, the few men she dated all left her for younger girls when the pressure from their mothers became too much. Their mothers believed that getting pregnant would be difficult for Ada since she was not an 18 years old or a 25 years old lady anymore. Everything was going well in the land of Umuudi, and soon it was time for the village festival. This festival was one that was held once every 10 years. It was always a very grand festival that had visitors come from neighboring villages to witness. Men were allowed to dance with their wives at the center of the crowd while everyone watched and were happy. On the day of the festival, Ada stood and watched as couples danced at the village square that evening. Her heart ached with longing as she desired to join in the dance as well. After watching for a while, she got emotional looking at everyone dancing with their spouses and decided to leave the festival. She was making her way away from the crowd when she saw her friends approaching. She tried avoiding them, but they called out her name, which made her stop. "Ada, you should really find someone to take care of your family for once," Nneka said. "You are not getting any younger, you know. It's about time you start thinking of yourself for a change. Look at you now. You can't even join in the dance because you are not married, and don't have a child at 35 years old? Or are you cursed? Nneka's words broke Ada, and for the first time since her friend started mocking her, Ada actually cried when she got home. She cried so much because even the day before, her auntie had come to the village to inform her and her mother about her cousin, Uzo Amaka, who was getting married the following month. Ada, when will you also get married? Her auntie had asked her too. You know you are 35 years old now and getting old. No young man will want to marry an old cargo like you. Your breasts will soon sag. Better do fast and marry before all your younger one's children start calling you auntie. Look for one old man to marry or become a second wife. We will manage it like that. Remembering our auntie's words and those of her friends just made Ada cry till she fell asleep that night. 4 months later, Mama Ada called Ada to her room and said, Ada, my daughter, thank you for all that you've done for me and your younger ones. We will forever be grateful to you. Your younger ones are now on their feet, thanks to you. Kneel down, my daughter, and let me bless you from my heart. Ada, grace will always find you as you have stood by us. All the years you've spent will be restored back to you. I pray for you with my authority as a mother. You will soon be celebrated. Ise. After praying for Ada that evening, Mama Ada now said to her, You know you are not getting any younger, my daughter. I want you to find another work to do. A work where you can control your time and have time to live your life. Most preferably a business. Ada looked at her mother for a long time and then replied, Mama, you know I know how to make our local delicacies very well. I've been thinking about it too, that I should start my own food business and be making my own money. I can start in a month's time when I collect my salary and then sell it at the village square to the villagers so that I can make my own profits. Mama Ada thought for a while and then said, That is a good one, my daughter. I'm in support of this. 1 month later, Ada started her food business with high hopes. She made their local delicacy and took it to the village square to sell. But unfortunately, only the old people bought her food. Instead, everyone present at the village square mocked her and said hurtful words to her. When Ada got home that night, she broke down and cried. Mama, they said I want to transfer my bad luck to them through my food. The married women said I want them to leave their husbands so that they can be chasing me. The older women said I want to transfer my bad luck to their daughters. That is why I'm now selling food. Mama, what do I do? Is it a crime to be unmarried at my age? Mama Ada looked at Ada and cuddled her, then said, Stop crying, my daughter. I know you don't have bad luck. Will you try the neighboring village? Nobody knows you there, and I'm sure they will buy your food. You can go and come back every weekend. Don't cry, my daughter. Everything is going to be okay. But you know what? Still try for this week and see if our people would buy your food. The next day, Ada tried again and it was still the same. This time, nobody bought from her until evening time when Papa Azu, an old man in the village, came to buy from her. Ada tried for 3 more days and it was the same. Nobody came to buy from her. As usual, she and her siblings were the ones who eventually ate the food till it finished. Ada got tired and finally decided she was going to try out her mother's suggestion of moving to the neighboring village. The sound of Sister Ada, someone is looking for you, woke Ada up from her sleep one Saturday morning. Who is looking for me? Ada asked her younger sister. One man is outside looking for you. I don't know him too. but he said he wants to see my big sister, Ada. Ada quickly brushed her mouth and rushed out to see who was looking for her. When she got outside, she saw a tall, dark man smiling down at her. The man greeted her and introduced himself as a social worker from ZZZ company abroad. They were going around from village to village, recruiting women who were empathetic and keen towards helping others. The man said he arrived in the village 5 days ago, and every time he was with any group of villagers and Ada passed, they always spoke about her. He said some mocked her and made fun of her for being single at her age. Some said she was cursed, while others spoke of how for years she was dedicated to nursing a sick mother to health. I have heard a lot about you, Ada, even though I haven't asked anyone, and I know you are the one for this job, he said. If you agree to be on our team, we will be traveling in the next 4 weeks because we actually only needed one more person before we commence the training, and that person hopefully should be you. Don't be afraid. We have gotten the approval of the king, so you have nothing to worry about. Please think about it, Mr. Bolade said before taking his leave. Ada stood and was shocked at what just happened. She turned to go inside and saw her mother on her knees crying. Ada knelt down beside her and they both cried, not believing what had just happened. Before the end of that day, word spread across the village about Ada traveling soon with the visitor. The villagers could not believe how Ada's story changed overnight. Those who had mocked her and spoke bad about her could not believe that their gossip about Ada had brought her good luck and fortune. Nneka, Chinyere, and Ifoma, who had also shunned Ada and joined in the mockery against her, felt ashamed as they realized that Ada's story had just changed. They couldn't believe that Ada was now going to another continent while they remained in the village. The days following, the villagers trooped in to congratulate Ada and her family. They all became so nice towards Ada. Some came with foodstuffs, some money. Some told Ada to pray for them so that her good luck could rub off on them and their children. Everyone wanted to know what Ada did that made this amazing good luck come to her. In the midst of the celebration, 4 weeks came, and Ada with the rest of the ZZZ team left the village and traveled out of the country. A year later, Ada came back to the village with her husband-to-be to get married in a grand way. Her friends, Nneka, Ifoma, and Chinyere, tried to get back to her, but Ada did not give them the room for that. She traveled back, and a year later, she relocated her mother and siblings abroad to join her and start their lives afresh. As we bid farewell to Ada's story, don't forget that her story serves as a powerful reminder that no matter how difficult life may seem, there is always hope for a brighter future. It also teaches us to never underestimate the power of kindness and to never judge someone based on their circumstances. Yes, marriage is a beautiful thing, but do not mock anyone that is not married. Instead, let us strive to uplift and support one another, recognizing that each person's journey is unique and deserving of respect and empathy. Thank you for joining me on this story, and thank you for your support thus far. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel for more amazing folktale stories, and also please give this video a thumbs up to support us. Thank you once again.